Hi everyone, welcome to Holistic Emails, Email and More, a Q&A with. As you know, every 2 weeks we showcase a different topic and have different expert panelists join us. It's not rehearsed, and I'm sure you guys know this by now because I've had many faux pas and blunders. But you guys, the live audience, get to ask us your burning questions about the topic at hand. I am the infamous Adiola Soul, Senior Consultant at Holistic Email. I just decided to add that in today. And I'm your host and moderator for Email and More. With me today, I have Kath Pei, CEO of Holistic Email Marketing. There she is. I have Daniel Meck of Moosend. And Andrew Kodek of iPost. There we go. They've all given us, he's given us a hell yeah. Raise the roof, everybody. He's in the building. Our topic today is email A/B testing. I really love this topic. And whilst you guys are typing your questions into the Q&A area, I think I'm going to pick on someone and let them kick off the introductions. So actually, we're going to go with Raise the Roof, Andrew. Raise the Roof, Andrew, give us an intro. Tell us about yourself. How are you doing today?
First of all, I'm doing fine. I am stuck in my home office here in the Chicagoland area, and I absolutely love attending these sorts of things. Free to put anything into the chat room if I'm talking too loud. Before I was talking too soft, now I'm talking too loud. But look, I've been in email marketing now for 21 years. I've been client side, so I ran Sears, Kmart, transactional and trigger-based email program. I've been on B2B side. I was actually one of the first 130 people at Groupon in 2009 and 2010.
Okay.
So I ran their email program for a little over a year, and then I started, co-founded an agency with my business partner, Morgan Stewart, Trendline Interactive. We became the world's largest email agency. I served as a chief strategist. That was the agency side. And then I retired in June. Literally, I said to myself, look, it's time for me to move on. Didn't know if I wanted to deliver pizzas or do something different, but I decided that email marketing kind of drew me back in, joined iPost, wonderful ESP. We are the ESP you've probably never heard of, but will very, very soon. I run all of their customer engagement across all of our clients. Tremendous amount of respect for Kath. First of all, congratulations on your book, Kath. Hopefully, for those of you that don't know it, she wrote a book. I haven't read it yet, but I'm sure it's pretty awesome. And it's just great to be here. Daniel, you and I have never spoken, but already I sense the connection. We're going to have some good time today.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a few people on this call that I already see are the troublemakers and the attendees, so watch out.
I mean, if that wasn't an intro and a half, I don't know what is. We got his full life history. We found out that he's clearly retired at the age of 25. And and one of 19 at Groupon. Like, okay, sorry, Mr. Andrew. But that was a fantastic intro. I don't know, Daniel, if you're going to be able to follow that one, but
well, I'm a lot younger, obviously, so there's no way I can. No, I'm joking. I'm actually a lot older than I look. So what I'd like to say is I am the CCO of Moosend, and so for those of you who don't know what CCO is, it's a Chief Commercial Officer, and essentially what we did is we're also an email marketing company, a ESP and an automations platform. We realized a lot of people were kind of still utilizing things, even though we had created a sophisticated platform in a little bit more of the simplistic old school way. And so we kind of decided to take an opportunity to have my department act as almost an agency, if you will, for kind of a more enterprise level users and make sure that obviously, that they're harnessing the power of the tool correctly, but also adopting those marketing practices that they seem to be afraid of using. So some of the biggest names out there, not going to name them, we're just using things in the most simplistic of ways. And we said, no, we're not on our watch. It's not going to happen. And so we're hand-holding one company at a time to,
nice.
basically. email-wise, I was always kind of the email marketer, various different companies. Over a decade in the travel and hospitality industries. I did merger and acquisition consulting work for Expedia. But way back in the day, I was actually using the first iteration of Constant Contact back in the late 90s.
Okay.
While I was at a luxury lifestyle magazine in Washington, DC. So yeah, believe it or not, I've been around the block myself too.
Wow, okay. So it seems as though the two gents on the panel have got some very illustrious career histories. It's very exciting. And finally, we have Kath, and I'm sure, as you all know, Kath has just launched a book. So, and this isn't a plug for her book, but Andrew mentioned it, so we might as well just go through. We are going to get into the A/B testing gist, but Kath, please, just for those that are new to us today, please give us a little intro to who you are.
Yes, thank you very much, Adiola. So so totally thrilled to have you guys on board. I think it's going to be a great session. So I'm Kath. I'm CEO and founder of Holistic Email Marketing. As we've all just heard, I've also just authored a book of the same name because it's very much about the approach. And it's got a whole chapter on A/B split testing. So if you leave this session and you're wanting to know a little bit more, you go and delve into the book. But I've been, I guess like Andrew, I've been in the industry for like 21, 22 years. And it's, unlike him though, I haven't been able to retire. But to be honest, I'd be exactly, if I did, I'd probably do exactly the same thing. I'd come back because I love this industry. I love the people. I love email marketing. So yeah, I'm excited to be here today.
Great. Okay, so we've got quite a few of you joining live, so I hope you'll send us your questions. But in the meantime, I'm going to kick off with this one. You all help your clients with their strategy, including A/B testing. What percentage of them are doing any form of significant A/B testing with their email programs? And I feel like this is quite important because a lot of brands, companies out there, they feel as though A/B testing could be quite hard or, you know, in terms of the number of iterations. So it'll be great actually to understand from your own shared experiences, how do you see your clients using A/B testing? And is there a high proportion or a low proportion? What's the news on the, what's the word on the street?
Are you gonna pick someone or
No, you guys can just fight for that one.
Jump in, jump in.
All right. I'll pop in. We're actually seeing a higher uptick. I have to mention that it's probably a little bit of a push on our side. It's one of those things that when we don't see it being done, it drives us nuts, so we can't shut up about it. So we're really kind of trying to evangelize the use of it. And a lot of people, I guess it comes from hubris, right? Us humans think we know better, we know what a good subject line might be because, hey, we went to school for marketing, we've been in the industry for a long time, this totally worked in my last company, right? But humans are predictably unpredictable. And in marketing in general, we have to probably keep in mind that, you know, everything is data-driven, and we have to remember to tell ourselves almost as a mantra that, you know, we simply don't know until the data comes in. So it's one of those things that we don't stop talking about. We really try and push people on a one-on-one basis to use it. And we created a little tool. This is the one and only plug, I think, that I'm going to give to Musen. But we created a little like sugar on the top tool to hopefully get people to do it a bit more. And we created a kind of a product called Refine. So it's a product that lives within the product. And what we realized was that A/B split testing is intrinsically has some statistical flaws, right? Or some procedural flaws in the sense that, and there's some controversial stuff for you, right?
Yeah, give it to us.
Testing is already flawed.
Yeah.
Right. You could, let's take a subject line A/B split test, right? You could be subject A/B split testing a bad subject line versus a worse subject line, right?
Yeah.
You're mitigating against everyone getting that really terrible one, but bad is still bad, okay? So we want to kind of come up with what would be probably deemed as an approximation to a control. So something on industry average. And so we said, you know what, as an ESP, we've got tons and tons of data. We send billions and billions of emails every month. We know what industries are coming out of. Why don't we create this kind of two-step procedure called Refine? And so step one lives outside. And we eat our own dog food, so we use this constantly. You go to moosen.com/refine, you select your proper industry. You don't even have to bother with the number of subscribers. That's a thing in there. I don't know why. But I'll talk to the data scientists later on why even put that in. But the industry, put in the subject line that you wanted, you're thinking about A/B split testing. It will then tell you how you're doing on an industry average. And so hey, am I above, ahead of the curve, behind the curve, right on industry average? Is this worth A/B split testing?
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's a fun bit. The step two actually is really cool because it lives inside the platform. And so it works on, Refine is, the second step is basically a machine learning algorithm that is on a test level that will say, all right, what have people done in the past? What are they reacting to? So on this subject line, for example, do they like the personalization? If so, should it be in the first place? Should it be in the last place? Do they like a percentage or a dollar or a pound amount? All of these different things. So they give you suggestions and they get hyper specific on how to increase the open rate over time before you even start the A/B split test. So with that, let's say, sugar-coated toy that we can kind of spoon feed to clients, they seem to play with it a lot more. They seem to like it. And honestly, the ones that do it do see a significant uptick. So
do you feel like they're playing with it more because a lot of the legwork or the guesswork has been taken out? It's been done for them. I think when you're doing manual split testing, A/B testing, you have to get to that stage of understanding, does front loading personalization versus, the latter increase open rates, whereas the machine is doing it for you. So you're seeing the uptake because it's being done for them essentially.
I think when you show some people something innovative and something that can significantly have a large increase, but is very not labor intensive, so very easy to use, people will play with it a lot more. So yeah, I mean, it's a nice toy to play with.
Okay, Andrew, what about you? Do you see your clients having a strong uptake or not? And I love the fact that you're standing, by the way. Are you actually standing?
He is.
Oh my God, look at that.
I was going to say, he's retired as much as Mike Tyson's retired.
He's not 51, he's 25. I'm comfortably seated, you see, and he's around the room. But
I have to stand all day because I literally have restless legs, so you'll see me moving a lot. But I want to go back to your original question, Adiola, because you make a very good point. Like, how many of our clients are testing? How many people are testing in general? And I would say not enough. I don't know the specific number, but I think there's this huge hurdle that people have to get over when they want to start testing and should they test. I've had clients that test every single email sent. I've had clients who've not tested nothing and then got into testing. It's like, wow, this is really cool. I'm starting to see sort of how things can evolve. There's this one hurdle I think that we all need to get over. We've heard this term, just test it, right, in this industry for so long. And you just literally want to beat your head against the wall when you hear somebody say that, right? Well, gosh, Andrew, just test it. You have to kind of have this mentality, and I call it a nimbleness mentality. And what I mean by a nimbleness mentality is that inside your organization, you need to have this test and learn culture. You need to say to yourselves that we are going to learn testing because testing should be fun. It should be a learning experience, and it should be as painless as possible because they do it in other channels, right, in marketing, right? So you kind of have to prioritize. You kind of have to look at the tools that you use, whether you use Moosen or iPost or any one of the other sort of ESPs that are out there. We all have testing capabilities. But I think one of the things is you got to take that step back and ask yourselves, how do I become nimble? How do I lay out a calendar, a plan, whether or not we're going to A/B test, what types of A/B tests we're going to do, and then you have to gradually see the results. It's sort of like you have to sort of get addicted to it. So I'd like to see more people do it instead of just talk about it. I like to see people start small and then move up and go and be gradual as a result of that. But most importantly, and the biggest thing that I always say is there's two important factors when we start talking about testing and A/B testing and just having a test and learn cultural in general.
Okay.
Is you need to follow what the people actually do, your subscribers, right? There's nothing as frustrating as seeing a test come through and go, I still kind of like this subject line. Is better than this red button, or Johnny vice president or Sally senior vice president said that she likes this or he likes that. There has to be a consolidation of the decisioning process when you start testing. And then lastly, I call it vaulting. You need to put everything, all the tests that you do and all the results and the types of tests that you do into a vault, into a library, into an encyclopedia, so that you can go back and say, gosh, we tested this sort of tone in our subject lines or this sort of thing other places. And we can go back and look historically what has happened. It's not just about testing. It's about setting yourself up for success. It's about becoming nimble. And I'd like to see more people do it instead of just talk about it.
Woo!
Yeah. Absolutely.
Andrew for president.
Preach that. No, absolutely. And I mean, testing, I'm incredibly passionate about it. I think every single email and more session we've had, I've talked about it, right? Yeah. Because I agree with you, not enough people are doing it. And there is certainly that barrier. And I think it is because there's a few things. I think it's because there is that we fall into email marketing. And so we're not taught how to do it correctly. So even those that are doing it aren't necessarily doing it correctly. And I find so many times when I go and audit my clients who are testing, they say, we test everything. And I look at them and they're kind of like very disillusioned with the results. And because they're actually not finding a winner of any statistical significance. And that's mainly because they're actually testing it wrong. They're using the wrong procedure altogether. They're using the wrong metrics and everything like this. They're doing it on that ad hoc basis. So they're only doing it to get an uplift on that particular campaign, not learning, doing it multiple times in order to be learning. In order to do that, you need to have a hypothesis. But the basic thing that I always say, which everyone seems, in fact, people are, I don't know, but people really like this and they're tweeting it all over the place, is treat every single email that you send out, right, as a survey. You are asking your audience what resonates with you. And that's the key thing. If suddenly because what marketer doesn't want to know more about their audience? Everyone wants to know more about their audience. Well, then you test, and that's how you're going to be finding out.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, as Andrew said, you need to be having the reporting, the archive. You need to be, going in and checking, and particularly during times like this, right? So when we're recording this, it's just past Black Friday and Cyber Monday in 2020. We've still got the pandemic is kind of like still lurking and everything. Our audiences are very likely to be different. We have got challenges that we've never, as retailers, as e-commerce companies, we have got challenges, even B2B companies, right? We have got challenges that we've never been faced before. So you can't necessarily just roll out, BAU, this is what we've always done and this is what we're going to do. Right? You have to find out what is now working with my audience and start going and try and do it as granularly, segmentation if possible, depending on the size of your audience, as possible. So because I like I said, very, very few clients in my opinion are actually doing it well. Some might be doing it, but they're not doing it well.
One other point to note is I don't care if your organization is 5 people or 500,000 people, right? Yep. You have to start somewhere. It could be at any size of any organization, but you have to be methodical and you have to commit yourself to it. Just like you would commit yourself to a pretty piece of creative or an amazing offer. It's not just a one-stop shop and you're done. You have to have a distinct hypothesis in order to get this stuff done, right? And I've seen it for the most progressive of organizations be it completely disorganized, and even the largest organizations with the most amount of data adopt or not adopt this nimbleness mentality. I don't care who you are. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how small you are. You have to commit yourself to it. And part of that is taking that first step.
Andrew has spoken. And this is actually really good. And this kind of leads on to the next question. So many components of email A/B testing are necessary for the test to actually be successful. But what is the main component that you believe most marketers are not doing? And again, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, in my opinion, again, we've just talked about it's a hypothesis. It's the basis of it, seriously, because.
And let's go into that hypothesis, because I feel like there are probably some newbies on here. You know, let's give them some info. Let's knowledge share. When you're talking about the hypothesis, let's go into it. What do you mean?
So a hypothesis, it starts with you asking a question. I wonder if my audience likes this versus this, right? So it could be an emotion versus another emotion. It could be front loading a verb versus, you know, what was it, rear ending? Whatever, I don't know what it is. Putting it at the end, right, of the subject line. It could, you know, so is it free, or is it, you know, on us or something like that? So you need to have a hypothesis. And the beauty about the hypothesis means you are simply just saying, I believe this is going to give an uplift over this, right? So A is going to give an uplift over B. Now, having said that, you need to write it down. And the thing is, I think what scares most marketers is they're thinking if they get it wrong, people are going to be judging them. You cannot get it. You just cannot, because you're the one that thought it up in the first place, right? So either way, it just means it's a new insight for you, and it's an exciting insight. It's something you didn't know. You thought differently, but the audience have put up their hand and said, no, we actually like this. So, you know, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah,
the thing
100%.
about
Sorry.
I'll
No, go on.
The thing about the hypothesis then is it allows you to be testing that multiple times. You don't have to be using the same words, right? You don't have to be, it just gives you license, because ideally when you're testing, you can't just test it once and say, okay, we have a winner. We're going to roll it out to every single campaign that we've ever done or that we're ever going to do in the future. Because it could be an anomaly. It could be that election day has just happened and people are in a different mood. It could be that payday hasn't arrived, or, you know, you just don't know. So therefore you have to do it multiple times, and the hypothesis allows you to do that. So for me, the hypothesis is the absolute key, and that's the main thing that I find most of my clients aren't doing. And
to add on to yours, I'm going to take it one step further, Kath, because I agree with 100% of what you just said. The next step, however, as part of that hypothesis, is to say, we believe that an urgent subject line is going to perform better than that of a soft subject line. However, you have to state in your hypothesis, we know we are going to be successful when, right? Our open rate, our click rate, our conversion rate exceeds 5%. That's a part of the hypothesis that you have to put in there, right? Because other than that, you set yourself up to say, well, I don't know if we're going to be successful or not. I don't know what our KPIs are going to be.
Yes. And that's it. Can I jump in on that too? Sorry. I also forgot to say with the hypothesis, you say A is going to win over B because, and that because leads you to the learning, right? Because. So that's really, really key. But I agree with you, Andrew, as well. So, and this is one of my other things. I find that a lot of testing that's done now, particularly if we're talking, let's just take the most obvious facet of email that's being tested, the subject line, as Daniel was referring to, right? So it's the easiest one. And if you think about it, if you don't touch, you know, there's 3 steps to conversion. You have to get them to open the email in the first case, right? So the subject line is incredibly important. So it makes sense to test it. However, we tend to think subject lines equals open rates. So I'm going to measure my open rates. I have done significant testing, significant analysis with my clients, with all of their past data, their tests, their non-tests even. I've looked at their data and I've looked at the open rates and click rates and conversions and everything. And I've not necessarily, unless you're a publisher and open rates is your key metric all the time, right? Because you're being rewarded on opens. I think you need to make sure that when you're also focusing on your hypothesis, you go, what is our objective of this email? Is it just to achieve opens? That therefore will be your metric of success for the test. Is it, you know, conversions? Is it clicks? So you need to be very, very clear about, to Andrew's point, exactly what it is that you're going to be basing the results on. And that doesn't mean you ignore everything else, because you might find something really interesting. You might find, you know, you've got high opens, high clicks, but you've got low conversions, and then B's got, you know, low opens, low clicks, but high conversions. Yep. Wow. Okay. So that then gives you another fuel for another hypothesis. So that's when it starts getting addictive and very sexy. And damn, we should have used that word. And,
I don't know what you're talking about.
No. And yeah, so that's
for me, I was gonna, if I can kind of chime in with my answer, and while certainly I agree.
Daniel, you look like a newsreader just there with the pieces of paper. We told you this is a relaxed webinar.
Do you know what? In all honesty, Adiola, for the audience who wasn't on here, you know, before when we were making sure all the tech was working and everything good, Adiola was telling me I was too overdressed, and you know, I'm Italian, I'm full calf. If I dress up or dress down any more than this, they take away my passport directly. Like, that's it. I'm out of the country. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I do this for effect.
Lovely.
Nice.
Just imagine
juicy insight.
the knowledge I have here.
Oh, I've got my notepad.
And I got two drinks as well. Like, I've got everything here. I'm not moving. I was gonna mention two things. I think primarily where I think a lot of people fall into is actually even more basic, by dialing back, not the hypothesis, not setting the goal. They just don't understand the nuanced concept of, or not the nuanced concept, but the actual basic concept of A/B split testing in how it should be approached as a practice. And in the sense that they don't approach it as a practice. It's approached rather as, here's a little trick on this platform that I can manage to kind of get a little uplift in my open rates. Then my boss will be happy and I've done a good job, right?
Yeah.
As I was kind of saying, humans are predictably unpredictable. Because of that fact, we know that we have to be dynamic with our testing as well. It's an ongoing process. It's not a snapshot where you say, yep, did it once. Kath, you kind of mentioned it a bit, but it's like the lack of understanding of the concept. I think you could actually have almost like a dedicated employee to A/B split testing. You can get that stuck into it. So with me, I would say it's the lack of understanding of the concept in general and how much time and effort should be spent on it. Very, very minimum, probably printed out on here, fact-based case study is about, you know, some A/B split testing that Microsoft did with Bing when they first launched. And they were getting crazy, crazy different results. And this is a simple A/B split test. We're not talking multivariate, nothing like that. And literally, you know, it was something that they weren't going to test at all. And it wound up seeing, you know, a 12% uplift in engagement and conversions, excuse me. And that annualized for a boutique company like Microsoft, I know, small potatoes, right? Was actually equivalent to $100 million US. So, you know, it's to say that once you understand the concept and the importance behind it, and then of course, everything that Andrew was saying about the hypothesis, 100% correct. Even I want to tie in Kath saying the metric, but also what Andrew had previously said, which is the documentation of what you've previously tested. and the evangelization, because otherwise you test it, but did you learn from it?
Mm.
If you're throwing it into a big black box, then it doesn't really matter, because you have to take away, right? If we're not doing this to learn something, then we've got the whole wrong mindset about it.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to work smart. And to your point, Daniel, about, having a full-time testing person. I've actually, in what I've called holistic testing, right? Email testing, because you test it holistically, and I'll give you the reason why. It's what you do is, if you're doing the learning, you're recording it, you're reporting it, you're doing the learning. And remember, now we're tracking back to email being a push channel. Email actually being able to touch the majority of your customers and your subscribers and everything. So you have got a built-in database. You don't have to be paying PPC ads to be driving traffic to your landing page, right?
Exactly.
So if we start to then think, carry those hypotheses, do an initial test in your email and say, well, okay, we've tested this 5 times and we have a clear winner, because we've measured it, it's statistically confident and everything. We have a clear winner with the hypothesis of, the A, right? Or the variation of A. Let's go and roll that out to our landing pages, our social, our banner ads, our PPC ads, and all that kind of stuff. We share the goodness that we have learned, the insights that we have learned. Now, it doesn't mean that they have to, that's it, full stop. You just give them a better place to start testing. Now, what's going to happen is that your company is going to say, ooh, okay, so this whole email testing lark isn't actually a lark. It's valuable. And so now you're putting more, they're going to start to go, well, if we're going to start to use email as our basis, we need to get that full-time person. We need to be putting in some dedicated time and everything like that. So now you're driving more, resources into email marketing, because it's one of the most cost-effective ways. It's more cost-effective than any of the other channels.
Yeah.
So I would be doing that. And I just want to jump in. There's a question here, which Andrew did answer in the chat, about 91 subscribers. Now,
Yeah,
I could be
to get to that.
here. Yes, so they've said they've got 91 subscribers. Can they be doing an A/B test? Theoretically, no, it's too small, because you need to have statistically, significant results. However, if you use a hypothesis, and I know this is quite controversial, and it's not ideal, it's not 100% accurate, but it's better than doing nothing. In my, Andrew and Daniel might disagree, but in my books, it's better than doing nothing. You just run that hypothesis. Think of it almost like testing an automated program. The difference between testing a campaign is that you do a one-off test, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll do it again, and then you do it again. And it's got a very, very clear shelf life, right? It runs until you've sent the campaign. An automated test is more on a time variance until you reach statistical significance. You can kind of do that. So you use the same hypothesis time and time and time and time and time and time again, all through different campaigns, until you reach statistical confidence, right? Now, I'm not saying that, like I said, it's not 100%, but to me, it's better than not doing anything. I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Andrew and Daniel.
I agree 100%. The next best thing, and it was kind of playing on, what I was talking about in the sense that it has to be a continual process. So you can't just campaign A/B test, right? And expect that, hey, from now on, all of my open rates are going to be great for every campaign. Use it as part of all of your procedures and processes. Many people limit themselves way too much, unnecessarily so. And I don't want to scare people, because I'm with Andrew 100%. Like, if I could be in the campaign rally with him, cheering him on, like, it was a great speech, very motivational. And I want everyone out there to be A/B split testing as well. So I don't want to scare people away, but many people think email, cool, subject line, sender, content. Maybe if you've got like a fancy tool, it's going to do send times as well, something like that. And that's pretty much about it. You can go crazy with it. And when you think about all of the different things that you can A/B test, you can A/B test conversion forms, like, you know, a web form. How well is this converting for me if I ask for a lot of details or just a little bit of details? What if I use this word, that word? Landing pages, you know, do we put certain elements like, you know, recommendations on this page at all based on past purchases? If you're in e-com or something like that, you can A/B split test literally everything. Business model. This is the craziest one. You can A/B split test a business model. So let's say you're e-com and you want to figure out if you offer free shipping, is that better or worse? Surprise, surprise, it might actually be better to say free shipping after X amount of dollars spent or euros or pounds spent. I do it myself. I play tennis. And so, you know, I go on there, I want to buy like a bag or whatever, a shirt, a hoodie, something. A suit, because Adiola thinks I dress up and wear suits to everything. So I get my tennis tuxedo. And then when I'm short, because there's like so many great Black Friday deals with the minimum shipping, I swear to God, I just go out and I just purchase like tennis balls, case after case after case, until I get to the minimum shipping. I didn't want to spend that much.
For free shipping.
Oh my God, I am. But like, think about that, like already, you can A/B split test, like who gets free shipping, who doesn't. Watch the order size go up or the revenue generated go up. So don't limit yourself, like be creative with it too, because you can pretty much do anything you can think of.
Everybody get Daniel onto their email subscriber list so you can get him to add more to the basket.
If I'm remotely interested, I'm going to be your best customer.
But we actually have had a question come in. So how many subscribers do you need to do an A/B test? So how many is a good sample size to begin testing? So I know, Kath, you answered Michael's question in essence, saying with 91, it's not the best, but you can do something. But what would be the ideal number to start off with when you want to A/B test? Is it 500? Is it above 1,000? In your opinions, guys?
I'm going to give an annoying answer now. Because it's not, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. It's not a silver bullet for anyone. It's all relevant, right, to you and your business. So I might actually disagree that 91, if that's your number of subscribers, it might be okay. I've heard 100 as being the absolute lowest. So, you know, go crazy there with your 91 and you know, get some friends and family to sign up, make it 100. But that said, what is important with A/B split testing is that the sample size is actually representative. So if it's representative of your actual audience, then you're good to go. And that for huge companies, it's a huge number. That for a startup with only 91 subscribers, it's going to be a lot smaller. So rather than say you're not ready yet for Michael, Michael, go for it. 91, you're 9 away from the minimum I've ever heard of. So I encourage you to start. But I think for everyone, it's going to be kind of a function of your audience size. And think of audience size as not necessarily just subscribers. Like it will be for email, right? But if it depends what you're A/B split testing. But if you go beyond email and it's like website, like a landing page or, you know, a form, it could be just on website visitors. So you want to look at something that's going to be a representative sample size of your total audience.
Yeah.
I'm going to interject something here. And I think one of the things, we can talk about numbers all day long. We can have a wonderful hypothesis. But every marketer out there knows that you've got a lot of stuff to do. And so when you write it, every testing plan I've ever written obviously has a hypothesis, but you also have to ask yourself, what's the impact? What's the anticipated impact of me doing that test? I don't care if it's subject line or landing page or a pre-send experience. And then what's the internal level of effort in order for me to pull this off? If you feel as if that your anticipated impact is high or extremely high or low, and your internal level of effort is high or low or whatever, match that up. I still think 91 is too small, and I'll stand by that. But I think that there's other things that you can do from an A/B test perspective. So first of all, look at your anticipated impact. Is it going to make a huge difference in your business? And then how hard is it for you to pull off? But when we start thinking about testing and A/B testing in general, I know Kath and Dan, you had mentioned this a couple different times. There's a couple different types of tests. We're talking a lot about sometimes subject lines or talking about certain things. I view that there are 4 different types of A/B testing. There's also different testing classifications. What's that, Adil? What was that?
Give it to us. What are the 4 different types?
Oh,
be our Christmas elf and deliver the knowledge here.
Yes, I am younger than an elf, but I'm older than 25. How about that? There's 4 different types. There's what first of all, I call pre-send. And what I mean by pre-send type of testing, that could be the location of your email sign up on your web page. That could be the data that you collect. That could be tracking acquisition source. That could be your unsubscribe or your opt-in or opt-down sort of process. That's anything before you do that send, right? That's type number 1. Then there's what I call pre-open. And what I mean by pre-open, that's obviously subject lines. And whether you test different types of subject lines like an urgent versus a curious or a short versus a long, right? We have that debate all day long about short versus long, using dollars versus no dollars. Anything to get that open is called a pre-open type of test.
So would time of day and actual day of the week constitute as pre-open too?
Absolutely. You can do pre-header text. There's so many different things to get that open, right?
Yeah.
And then what I call pre-click. Pre-click type. Calls to action, imagery.
Okay.
Right? So there's that to get that click. So there's pre-send, pre-open, pre-click, and lastly, post-click. When I click on that email, assuming that I've got all this other stuff, what about a landing page? What about other things, right? That I can test. There's so many different examples. You need to first of all pick the type that you want to do. Then you need to do your anticipated level of effort. You need to have your hypothesis. You need to have level of impact. It is methodical, and you have to do it over and over and over and adopt that testing mentality into your testing plan. So I'll still stand by 91 is too small, but there's other things that you can potentially do to A/B test to get more than 91 subscribers.
Yeah, I like that. The pre-send, pre-open, pre-click, post-click.
And I just wrote a white paper called The Economic Impact of Email Testing. And I believe that there is economic impact for every test that you do. So I wrote it for iPost. It's a wonderful 12, 11 page sort of document that you guys can go, and we talk a lot about this types of tests, nimbleness mentality, things of that nature. That's my little sort of.
I like that. But Andrew, for future reference, you do know that we are millennials, so we only read things that are 3 to 4 minutes long. So, you know.
I'm not a millennial.
And read to us on a video.
I can do an interpretive dance of test types.
Yeah, there we go. Keep us engaged. Amazing.
So I think that's fantastic, and that's really, really good for when you're testing specific factors and everything, like what you were saying. With the holistic testing approach, what we do is that when you are testing, and you mentioned this, like the emotions, the motivational type things, so curiosity versus loss aversion or something like this, if you actually want to bundle them all in together. So, you know how we've always been taught when you're doing, or you've always heard probably, when you're doing A/B split testing, only ever test one factor at a time. And it makes sense because that way you can be learning what is actually moving the needle. So you don't want to be doing the from and also, and also a different subject line. So a different from name and a different subject line, because that's too confusing, right? So they're the 2 factors. However, if you start to be testing the motivation, so like I said, curiosity versus loss aversion, you can have curiosity one email, version A, and version B, curiosity versus loss aversion. Curiosity could have subject line. It could have the opening paragraph. It could also have the imagery supporting the loss aversion hypothesis. It could also have the landing page and the copy. It could have the call to actions, you know, don't miss out and all that kind of stuff versus the curious, right? So there you're actually testing multiple factors, but they're all supporting the same hypothesis. So that is the one instance where you can be testing multiple ones. And in my books, it's great because what it's doing is it's actually, you are asking the audience, what do you like? What's motivating you? And you get a clear answer. Two, it's going to make it more robust because you're not just doing the subject line. And remember, going back to what we were saying, how important it is to be testing the subject line. This means that every single test, you are testing the subject line, but you are not only testing the subject line, you're also testing the offer, the rest of it, the copy and the imagery and everything. So it obviously needs a bit more planning, but they work really, really well. So I think when you're wanting to test factors like the from name and you know, those identifiable factors, I think Andrew's 4 different types of A/B split testing, it's brilliant. Yeah. When you're just saying, okay, I'm going to be testing emotions, then you can be testing all of it.
Would you, can I
tell you, you told me I'm brilliant. I was going to tell you to go elf yourself, but
I appreciate that because, you know what, I didn't know if that other one counted and I wasn't going to count that. I feel like this is a more honest effort, so that's good. Let me ask you, Kath, just to, you know, pull on the string a little bit more here. Would you advocate for a new brand, perhaps, who's just starting out and doesn't really have a voice yet? Would you say that they could go full, let's say, you know, corporate on one side in terms of tone of voice, look and feel, you know, the whole shebang, and then totally casual millennial style on the other side, very, you know, whatever, very cool, and say, look, we want to define ourselves a little bit through this A/B split testing? Or, and the reason I ask you is because this actually happened to me in real life. Government actual entity, UK government entity, I can't say which one, but oh my God. And you know, the 2 different versions couldn't be more different, and they were like completely different. It was not just, oh, we've changed an image, we've changed the subject line. It was like 2 different entities talking. Like, dislike, what are your thoughts on that? Because yeah, it ties into the emotions that you were talking about a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit conflicted. So first of all, if you're going to do something as extreme as that, and I'm going to advise you not to do something as extreme, but if you were to do that, you have to make sure the entire journey follows through. So you're not going to be doing an email that's this way and an email that's way, and they're both taking you to the same website, because you'd have a very, very big disconnect, right? Yeah, yeah. So you have to make sure. So it's going to be going all the way through, right? But at the same time, and you would have to be doing this on a repeat time. So therefore you could have a, what about it?
Sorry, what time is it? Where are you? Are you, are you in California or something? Is it dawn?
And it's like midday, but they crow at any time of day or night. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Olivia's lunchtime. So I would be a bit concerned that those that end up receiving the losing variant are going to be completely baffled.
Yeah.
And thrown out when you go, okay, well, here you go. And they're going, wait on, is this the same, you know, is this the same company?
Same entity. Yeah.
So the only way you could do that then is you would have to do a very big, okay, hey guys, we've changed our branding. You'd have to address it. You'd have to literally state it, be very clearly. Don't sneak it up on them because you'll just confuse them. So
Yeah.
be very, very clear. Welcome to our new branding if you were to do that then.
Yeah, I didn't love it myself. I was trying to get, but I do see some kind of value in it, to understand what kind of tone, if this was a first time initiative. And they wanted to test it. So, you know, God bless them. They're going the route that we're evangelizing, right? We're saying test everything. But to your point, and one of the fundamentals, one thing at a time, right?
Yeah.
One thing at a time.
Yeah.
But then you've got those, you know, we've been doing this ever since. You're testing a template, an email template. You're testing which one's going to work best. And often they will be very, very different in design, in format, and everything. So there is no one element there that's just been changed. You're saying this one versus this one, you know, and yeah. So.
Okay, so we've just got under 10 minutes left, and I know that the conversation has been very juicy.
No.
And yeah, and I just want to echo what Andrew had written. You know, he threatened you guys, sorry, but we do want to hear from you. If you have any questions, please don't be shy. I know that they're quite, they're a very...
We're spirited. I think the word is
very
spirited.
And they get back to you, which is great. So your questions get answered live. I think this is one of the great things about this webinar is if you do have a question, it is going to get answered live. So you get that, you know, information there and then. So please.
If you don't ask questions, I'm going to give you the history behind my wife painting a rock with the @ symbol.
I'm going to ask a question. Actually. Sorry.
We got a question.
Okay,
Sorry.
good. I didn't want to hear about the rock. I'm sorry. I think it was very well done.
Paul, this is a very long question. Okay, everybody get ready for this question. We are a non-profit news site. I A/B test subject lines, often 2 different headlines. I find very, very little difference in the open rate. I get around 27% on my first send and another 11% on my second send to non-openers. Click-throughs are 2 to 3%, which seems low to me. It's about the average. Am I just getting a fairly loyal group of people that open whatever I send? The stories are video podcasts, which can be over 30 minutes long. I'm guessing the low quick click-through are people that don't have time to watch. On the other hand, my donations to traffic seems high, which is a plus. Maybe my bigger problem is the design of the email, not encouraging enough clicks. Can I A/B test? Ooh, can I A/B test the design on Moosend?
Oh, well, Paul.
He has around 20,000 subscribers, which is that's a healthy number. So I'm sure Andrew will be happy with that. So yeah, panelists, it's there for you to view. It seems as though his base are just more or less quite happy to open whatever he sends. Andrew's got his hands up, wants to tackle this one.
Andrew, go for it.
Yeah, so the first question, so when I see something like this, so thank you, Paul, for putting that question in. I would turn back the question back to you. I have tons of questions. How long is your email? How many different calls to action are in there? What's the percentage or the time between the first send and the second send? What's the differentiation in the subject lines that you are testing? Is there a distinct enough difference between said subject line or other things? What other things are you testing in there? How many calls to action are in your email? Are you testing it to a 10-10-80 split? I mean, there's so many different variances in here for me to unpack that I would love to sit down and have a chat with you and go, you know what? I hear what you're saying. You know, the numbers are numbers, but I'd really want to unpack it before I'd say, yeah, you're doing great, or nah, it sucks, right? So, I mean, from my perspective, I have way more questions to ask you than the questions that you asked us. But I really appreciate your question. I just can't give a general blanket answer.
I'm going to try, though. No. I tend to agree with Andrew a ton in the sense that, look, you know, devil's in the details, so it really matters a lot of different things, you know, especially about the variance in the subject lines. The way I'm reading it, however, are a couple different questions or different problems and topics, right? And one is, hey, I'm A/B split testing subject lines, which are pretty much getting the same results, right? That's, for me, question number one. Then you start talking about click-throughs, what's going on with that? you're A/B split testing one thing, subject lines. So let's concentrate on that, number one. The first thing I would go into regarding that is how different are they? Are we reaching statistical significance? Are you, a question I was going to throw out before you so kindly, type this in, because I hear it all the time from people, is what is a good split? And I was going to open it up to the panelists too. Like, what do you guys think is a good split? Many people will kind of make I would like to say, it really depends on the sample size, but let's say the typical error of, if I make the A and the B part of a subject line split, or content, whatever have you, split small, then I'm maximizing the number of people that are getting the good subject. Yes, but you might not be reaching statistical significance. So you get an open rate, which is 27 against 26.5, because your sample size is too small. So you're not there yet. And so that would be a big question for Paul as well. So I think tackle open rate first, and that would have to be that A/B split test, and knowing the split that you're doing, knowing the two different versions that you're going for. How different are they? And then unpacking the rest as a separate problem, because it is, right?
Daniel, 1 second. Want to add on to that? So you just mentioned control groups, and we've got a question coming from Anastasia. What is the considered optimum sample size as a % of the entire audience base? I'm speaking so fast because we're like running out of time.
Yeah, no, I thought you were going to blow the whistle on time here.
Question, because it builds upon what you were saying, because I've seen loads of people do 50-50. It's like a 50-50 split, and then the winning. Ooh, Andrew shaking his head hella fast.
Yeah.
What? Let's answer Anastasia's question before we retire.
I've got my favorites. It's again, as I kind of alluded to before, it really depends on your list size and if this is going to be representative of the audience or not, right? So only you know that. Like, are you split testing the entire mailing list? Is this just going to first-time users because this is, part of a nurture campaign? Is this going to, reactivated customers? Is this completely representative? And if we can check those boxes and stuff like that, I'm just going to say all other things, because I don't want to ever promise a silver bullet, but I'll try and get as close to that as possible.
Let's
in a quick and dirty way. Why not, right? Let's get a little quick, a little dirty. I'm a fan of 30, 30, 40. So 30, 30, 40 gives you a big enough A, a big enough B to then get maximum. And if you think about it, the optimal is going to 70% of your list. It's not a great score on a test, but when you're going for significance, right?
But it's something to start from. So
it is.
Start from there and build. Yeah.
Many people make this common mistake. They think, if I'm going to A/B split test, I'm just going to unwrap this. I'm gonna do this with a very small amount of people. And therefore, I'm gonna, learn which version is right. And then I'm gonna maximize with 99.9%. No, you haven't got to statistical significance yet. So you don't know. You don't know yet. Yeah. And what you're doing is just prolonging that statistical significance if you've set up the test correctly.
Amazing.
So that's my spiel. 30, 30, 40, go for it, quick and dirty.
Want to add their own?
I'll say quick, Kath, you go first. I can say mine in 15 seconds, but go.
Ooh.
Oh. What about that? No. The only thing I wanted to say for that particular one was, I kind of, it's such a big one, I can't really recall, but essentially donations is the key thing for you, right? Not open rates, donations. And so I have done, and I've got written articles on it with case studies and everything like this. You can see that you might end up having this, A and B might have the same open rate, but they'll have different conversion rates. And so again, I'm just going to point you back to making sure that you're measuring the correct metric and that you've actually identified the metric of success, and that's the one that you're using. But yeah.
Amazing. And very good point. Andrew, before we close.
Last time I checked, none of us get paid on open rates. The first thing I would do is do a 10-10-80, 5-5-90, or 20-20-60. Wait a significant amount of time. And what I mean by significant amount of time, 5 hours to 10 hours to a day to really let this thing sink in, because you may not be just optimizing for opens, you're optimizing for clicks. So don't run your business on open rates.
Wonderful. Do we have time to get him to repeat those? Was it 10-10?
10-10-80, 5-5-90, 20-20-60.
I hope you all wrote that down. Okay.
And if you're a C student, you go with Daniel, then you go 30-30-40.
30-30-40. Okay.
Just remember though, it's going to be on YouTube, so you can always watch it on demand, rewind, take copious notes.
So yes, as Cass said, now we're coming up to the end of the seminar, and it was so great. Thank you everybody that attended and watched us live, and also for those that are going to watch it on demand. Thank you for your time, and I hope you found this useful. I hope Santa's little elves have brought a nice little Christmas gift for you before you plan and go into the next festive season. And of course, I also want to thank the amazing speakers for sharing their experiences and expertise with us today. So thank you. And if you want to catch up on previous emails and more that we've had, they're all there waiting for you on YouTube. You just got to search email &more and you'll find us. Don't forget to like it, love it, and share it. And also give us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing. Are we way too cash? Should we be more formal like Daniel? Let us know. Let us know. I don't want to wear a suit and tie, so please say we're fine. But thank you. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful evening or morning. And thank you for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.